been worried about something? Have you ever been determined? Have you ever been persistent? Have you ever experienced kindness, acceptance? What about bullying? These themes, along with many others, are incorporated into the children's books created by my author. He creates these books with impactful messages and ideas to ultimately help children with experiences that they may be going through or eventually will go through in their childhood. Hi, my name is Emily Cantley, and today I'm going to be sharing with you the life of author and illustrator Kevin Henkes, the importance of reading, and his influence on children's literature. Kevin Henkes was born and raised in Wisconsin in 1960. He grew up with 4 siblings. As a child, he really didn't have very many children's books at home, so his family often took trips to the local library, where he would dive into books with these beautiful images and creative wording. At a very young age, he developed a love for drawing and artwork, so he would oftentimes kind of take his ideas in his mind and portray them onto paper through using pens, pencils, and crayons and markers. Kevin Henkes attended the University of Wisconsin at Madison, where he wanted to be involved in the School of Education's Cooperative Children's Book Center. He now lives in Madison, Wisconsin today with his wife, who is an artist, Laura Johnzek, and also shares his love for art, and their 2 children. Henkes published his very first book at the age of 19. It was actually when he was in college, and then he decided to take kind of a break to go to New York to continue his career in publishing artwork and illustrations for children's books. Henkes has written a total of 44 books, including chapter books, novels, beginning level reader books, and picture books. So Kevin Henkes has many influences on his work. He says in an interview that is posted on his website, "I grew up desperately wanting to be an artist. That desire was a huge part of my identity for as far back as I can remember. It wasn't until I was in high school that writing became as important to me. During my junior year of high school, I decided I wanted to write and illustrate children's books for a career." So like I said before, Kevin Henkes had a very strong passion for artwork and drawing when he was young. And then through going to the library with his family, he developed kind of an interest in reading a lot. When he was in high school, he also learned that he had a very strong passion for writing. So he wanted to kind of merge his 2 loves, writing and drawing, in order to create these beautiful children's books that he could give back to the kids what his authors and illustrators that he read when he was a child gave to him. Henkes tends to get inspirations from real life experiences that he went through. He takes what he's been through and witnessed to kind of create these different themes and lessons that can be applied to everyday life for children. In illustrating his books, Henkes often starts with kind of an ink pen to draw out the outline of everything he wants to put into his book's illustrations. Then he goes back over and later fills it in with watercolors to create these beautiful, enhancing images that really tie his book through his writing and his artwork together to create these masterpieces. Many of Henkes' works include characters who are mice. There's really not any specific reason why this is. It just kind of happened. He put it down on paper one day and it stuck. As you can see below in the picture, those are a lot of the ones he features in his writing. He has a lot of series on them too, and kids tend to love them. Most of Henkes' children's books include characters who are not really humans. They're more animals and toy creatures, but they have humanistic characteristics. So they'll kind of go through the same thing that humans would go through today. Different like life situations, experiences, difficulties, and portrays them in kind of more of a fun, relating way that kids could have. So the importance of reading through Kevin Henkes. He is a big believer that one single book can truly have a lasting impact on a child. He said in an interview that books are often the first exposure to art that children have. Keeping that in mind urges me to make the best books possible. I know how important the books are from my childhood were and still are to me. So this kind of shows how he really thinks back to those authors and illustrators that he was exposed to as a child and how much they inspired him to be a children's author today. And he wants to give that back to the children now and kind of inspire them to do things as they grow up too. It's really important to provide endless opportunities for children to dive into books and to ultimately help them learn to love reading. This is why reading and being read aloud to are so important today. You really never know where a book can take you until you open it up. So it's kind of important for kids to have that exposure early on so they can get to know what they like reading, what kind of genre they like, and continue that as they grow. So here are 3 books I'm kind of going to spotlight real quick. The first one is called Kitten's First Full Moon, which was a Caldecott Medal winner. This book kind of has the theme of determination and perseverance. The next book is called When Billy Worried. And this book presents the themes of kind of worrying and overthinking everything, and ultimately missing out on doing something you would end up liking because you're thinking of the worst things that could happen. And then the last book is called Chrysanthemum, which has common themes of acceptance and kindness, as well as a little bit of bullying that ties into that, and how to kind of get through that and overcome it. So like I said, I'm going to spotlight Chrysanthemum as my main book. And again, the themes are bullying, kindness, and acceptance. And it's kind of cool how Henkes kind of writes these themes in his books, because a lot of times he'll transition over time. So in Chrysanthemum, he kind of starts out with the theme of bullying, which then transitions into the theme of kindness and ends with the theme of acceptance. So the book is about a young mouse named Chrysanthemum. She absolutely loves her name, is so prideful of it, and thinks it's the most beautiful thing ever. That is, until she starts kindergarten. So all of a sudden, Chrysanthemum is put into this whole new world where short, simple names are the most common and the most popular, such as Sue, Bill, Max, and Sam. So Chrysanthemum obviously stands out, but not in a good way. She's constantly made fun of for her name and teased by the kids. They'll actually kind of go up to her and act like she's a flower and try to pluck her flower petals, and just kind of go on and on about how she's named after a flower, it's not important, it's not cool. So Chrysanthemum, obviously, she kind of loses hope. She becomes devastated and disheartened until she meets their music teacher, Mrs. Twinkle. So Mrs. Twinkle is going to have a baby soon, and she kind of explains to the class how she wants to name the baby the most prettiest name she's ever heard, Chrysanthemum. So I'm going to read you guys a little excerpt from this book, just kind of show you the style that Henkes writes with, and also how he goes through these themes. "What's so humorous?" asked Mrs. Twinkle. "Chrysanthemum," was the answer. "Her name is so long," said Joe. "It scarcely fits on her name tag," said Rita, pointing. "I'm named after my grandmother," said Victoria. "She's named after a flower." "Well, my name is long," said Mrs. Twinkle. "It is?" said Joe. "My name would scarcely fit on a name tag," said Mrs. Twinkle. "It would?" said Rita, pointing. "And," said Mrs. Twinkle, "I'm named after a flower, too." "You are?" said Victoria. "Yes," said Mrs. Twinkle. "My name is Delphinium Twinkle. And if my baby is a girl, I'm considering Chrysanthemum as a name. I think it's absolutely perfect." Chrysanthemum could scarcely believe her ears. She blushed. She beamed. She bloomed. Chrysanthemum, Chrysanthemum, Chrysanthemum. Joe, Rita, and Victoria looked at Chrysanthemum longingly. "Call me Marigold," said Joe. "I'm Carnation," said Rita, pointing. "My name is Lily of the Valley," said Victoria. So it just kind of shows you how the theme of bullying starts out when they're making fun of herself and her name. Then it kind of transitions into the theme of kindness when Mrs. Twinkle is kind of Chrysanthemum about her name and kind of shows the kids that it's unique and that they should be kind about it too. And then it transitions lastly into acceptance as the kids begin to accept Chrysanthemum for her name and kind of long for a name similar to hers, and they give themselves these beautiful flower names too. A way to implement this in my classroom is obviously teaching a theme of kindness. We could do this through, I personally like the idea of reading the book Wonder to your children, which we did here too. And as you know, it starts out with a young boy who is different because of his facial defect, and he experiences the same themes, bullying, but then he transitions to, he receives kindness from other students, and ultimately is accepted by a couple of the students and people as for who he is and not just what he looks like. Kevin Henkes believes in exposing children to art and books to encourage growth and learning at a very young age. He has greatly impacted children's literature through his stories and illustrations of real-life themes and problems that children will often experience. And I'm just going to leave you guys on this quote that he said. He said, "Exposure is everything. Read aloud as often as possible. If your child likes to write or draw, make sure that they always have paper available. Encourage children to experiment when it comes to art and writing. and remind them to have fun and not be concerned with creating a masterpiece. If, as adults, we value art and books, our children will too. I think this is really important because he's kind of saying kids look up to us a lot, especially in a classroom. They look up to the teacher. So if a teacher or an adult kind of shows like how important reading is and their love for it, or that it can help you grow, they'll be more interested into it too. Thank you.